The courtyard of the Red Keep lay hot beneath the late afternoon sun, its sandstone tiles glowing like embers as the high bells tolled across King's Landing. Dust swirled where guardsmen shifted in tight ranks, and the scent of horse sweat mixed with river mud drifted upward from the city below. On the raised dais before the September of Baylor, 6 white-cloaked knights stood ready, helmets tucked beneath their arms, gilt hilts gleaming, each one waiting for the 7th to appear and complete the line. The crowd, packed shoulder to shoulder, murmured with confusion. Small folk craned their necks. Brazen lads climbed lamp posts and balconets for a better view. Lords and ladies fanned themselves with lace and parchment, though no amount of perfumed air could quite banish the coppery tang of dried blood that still lingered in the capital. A whisper of the riot weeks earlier, when starving peasants had torn one another apart for crusts and lies. On the throne balcony above, King Joffrey Baratheon leaned forward, elbows pressed on the gilded rail. His crown, heavy with emeralds, tilted as if eager to slide off the boy king's brow. Beside him stood Queen Cersei. Green eyes narrowed, face a mask of expectation, while to her left, Lord Tywin sat rigid, his mailed hand drumming softly on the pommel of his bastard sword. The sun dipped another fingerbreadth beyond the crenellated walls. Still the 7th night did not come.
Ser Meryn transhifted impatiently.
Ser Osmond Kettleblack rolled his shoulders and flashed a crooked grin, earning a glare from Ser Balon Swan. "Where is she?" Joffrey hissed, loud enough that the wind carried his petulance to the dais below. Ser Brienne was commanded to attend. Cersei's green gaze lingered on her son, unblinking. "She is a woman," she said, voice silk-soft but hard as iron underneath. "Women are never on time." "Mother," Joffrey began, but Tywin's mailed fingers stilled, and silence rippled outward. Hoofbeats. They rang, crisp and deliberate, echoing through the stilled courtyard. The gate to the street of the sisters yawned, and out rode Brienne of Tarth, her armor burnished but unadorned save for the deep blue surcoat bearing a golden lilia, the arms of her house. She reined her tall dapple-gray destrier to a halt at the foot of the dais and dismounted with a fluid grace that belied the bulk of her plate. Only then did onlookers see what she carried. A single white cloak, folded with care, draped over a steel-clad forearm. Gasps rippled. Some laughed. "A maiden mail!" Someone jeered from the back. Others fell to hushed silence as Brienne climbed the 3 high steps. She moved without haste, yet every stride spoke of iron certainty, as though she walked a 1,000-mile journey in a single breath. Ser Boros Blunt's mouth twisted. Ser Balon Swan's brows knit in wary respect. Brienne knelt. Her great sword, Oathkeeper, she laid at the dais edge, hilt toward the king. Its golden pommel, shaped as a lion's head, yet forged from ice, the stark ancestral blade, caught the sun and poured it back in crimson sparks. "My king," her voice carried, low and resonant. "Brienne of Tarth, daughter of Lord Selwyn of Evenfall Hall, answers your summons." A hush settled like snow. Joffrey straightened, cheeks burning with a flush that might have been triumph or unease. "You took your time." His tone trembled on the edge of mockery but never quite crossed. "Do you know why you stand here, woman?" "To swear the vows of the Kingsguard," Brienne said. A brittle chuckle fluttered from the onlookers. Tywin's drumming ceased entirely. His pale green eyes narrowed, studying this towering woman as if she were a puzzle piece forced into the wrong board. Ser Meryn stepped forward, face the color of chalk. "Your Grace, the Book of Brothers." "Silence," the king snapped. "I rule here, not some dusty tome." He gestured sharply. "Grand Maester, read the proclamation." Chains rattled as Pycelle shuffled forward. He unrolled a calfskin parchment, voice creaking like an old door. "Be it known that by the will of His Grace Joffrey of Houses Baratheon and Lannister, first of his name, King of the Undulls, the Royner, and the First Men, Protector of the Realm, the post of Lord Commander of his Kingsguard, being vacant by death of Ser Mandon Moore, shall be awarded forthwith to Brienne of Tarth, called the Maid of Tarth." Gasps became uproar. Joffrey raised a single hand. The noise died as quick as a candle in a storm. "Rise, Lord Commander." he said, voice ringing like a bell. Brienne stood, towering over the assembled knights. She unfolded the cloak, and for the first time her hands trembled, just a flicker, before she drew a steady breath and swung the white over her shoulders. Ser Boros hesitated, then stepped forth to clasp the brooch at her throat. A 7-pointed star wrought of mother of pearl. The fabric settled across her broad back, falling to calf height, edges just brushing the tiling. She knelt again for the sword. Oathkeeper rasped free. Brienne flipped the blade, offering the hilt. "Name me your grace," she said. "Command me." Joffrey's pale lips twitched. For a heartbeat he looked a child again, unsure beneath the weight of crown and expectation. Then Tywin rose at his side, towering though he stood a full flight above. He looked not at the king, but at Brienne, as though some unspoken calculation balanced itself in his eyes. "Your first duty," Lord Tywin intoned, "is to stand as shield between his grace and every spill of blood, every whisper of poison, every stray bolt from the shadows." "I shall," Brienne said. "Your second duty," Tywin continued, "is to restore the Kingsguard's honor, tarnished by oathbreakers and assassin's steel. Will you purge rot from white cloak and breast?" "I shall." "And your final duty," Tywin allowed his gaze to drift to the restless crowd, "is to ensure no man forgets who rules here." His stare flicked briefly to Cersei, then pointedly to Joffrey. "No man nor woman." Brienne inclined her head once. "I shall remember." Thunderous applause erupted from the nobles seated nearest the balcony, though whether for Tywin's words or the novelty of a woman Lord Commander none could say. Beyond them, the small folk cheered because cheering was safer than quiet uncertainty beneath so many spears. Dusk bled across the sky. Torches flared, casting long shadows. Brienne felt the heat of their scrutiny, the weight of cloth on armor, the slight catch of her breath. But she also felt something she had not known since Renly's bright pavilion. A purpose that filled the hollow of her chest the way morning tide floods a forgotten cave. That night, as the bells tolled vespers, Brienne entered the White Sword Tower for the first time as its master. She climbed winding marble steps, her footfalls echoing through a hush that felt almost sacred. On the fourth landing, she paused before an arched door inlaid with weirwood and polished gold. The lock turned beneath her hand. Inside lay the Lord Commander's solar, small, circular, its walls hung with faded tapestries showing glory days. Ser Gawain Corbray at the Redgrass Field. Ser Ryam Redwine crowned with roses. Ser Criston Cole astride his destrier, lance lowered. A single desk of weirwood dominated the center, and upon it rested the massive white tome, the Book of Brothers. Brienne approached reverently. She brushed a gloved finger across the cover and felt splinters of history rise beneath her skin. An inkwell stood ready, fresh-cut quills neatly arranged. She opened the book and searched for an empty page. Each name that greeted her set her heart trembling. Aerys Oakhart, killed in Dorne. Barristan Selmy, dismissed. Jaime Lannister, Kingslayer. So much legend. So much broken oath. At last she found white space. She drew a bench near, sat, and dipped a quill. For a long moment she stared at the blank, as if afraid her ink might darken the deeds rather than preserve them. She remembered Ser Barristan's words to her once, months earlier on the road. "Every page a life, Brienne. Do not seek to write yours too soon." Yet here she sat, and so she wrote, hand steady, Brienne of Tarth, Lord Commander appointed in the 299th year after Aegon's conquest, sworn under King Joffrey Baratheon. Known for valor at the Battle of the Blackwater, honor upheld at Riverrun and Maidenpool. She paused. She could not bear to include the whispers, Kingslayer's escort, Renly's creature, the Maid Knight, words wielded by men who never lifted sword in defense of anything beyond purse or pride. Let deeds speak. She wrote another line, renowned for unflinching adherence to oath, irrespective of ridicule or peril. That, at least, was truth. A rap at the door drew her from the page. She rose, hand to sword hilt. "Enter." Ser Balon Swan stepped in, closing the door softly behind him. His pale eyes took in the room, lingering on the book. I wondered if I might speak with you. Brienne inclined her head, gesturing to a chair opposite the desk. Swan remained standing. Many here will not abide this change, he said, voice quiet. Some among our number, least of all Ser Meryn. Brienne studied him. Do you speak for them, Ser Balon, or for yourself? A faint smile ghosted his lips. For none but duty. Yours is a heavy cloak. So I have discovered. Saturday there will be tests, he said. Cersei will press you. Lord Tywin will watch. The boy king is volatile. Not all threats come with blades drawn. Brienne's jaw tightened. I am no court fox, but I mean to learn. And if they demand deeds that stain that cloak? Her eyes flickered to the blank space in the book. Then I shall bear the stain. So they need not. Swan considered that. An honorable answer, he said at last, rising. For what it is worth, Lord Commander, you have one friend in white. Brienne inclined her head. One is a gift. When he left, she closed the tome gently and moved to the arched window. Below, the lights of King's Landing sprawled like a sea of dying embers. Each spark a life she was sworn now to help safeguard, though many would never know her name. Farther off, the tourney grounds still bore scorched timbers from wildfire. She remembered Renly's tent aglow with candles. She remembered Catelyn's weary eyes. She remembered the taste of copper on the road as outlaws mocked her for a woman fighting in steel. A new oath for an old dream. She whispered into the gathering dark, Ser. No. Lord Commander Brienne. The words sounded foreign, almost foolish, yet they were true all the same. She closed her eyes and pictured a world where vows meant what singers swore they did. Somewhere beyond the horizon, dawn waited. Dawn did not come soon for King's Landing. In the week that followed, ravens arrived daily. News of skirmishes along the Blackwater Rush, tales of Sellswords massing in the disputed lands, portents of dragons across the narrow sea. Yet none troubled the court half so much as whispers that the small folk had begun naming Brienne the Sapphire Guard. A jape at first, then a badge of secret hope. For if a woman might wear white and stand unbent, perhaps a baker could petition for grain, a cobbler for justice. Cersei felt that hope's chill breath in every corridor. Twice she summoned Brienne to the royal apartments. The first time, to complain that the Lord Commander patrolled flea bottom rather than polishing goldwork in the throne room. The second time, to order her to dismiss half the gold cloaks from Red Keep duty so new men, House Lannister's men, could be installed. Brienne listened in silence. She bowed, she left, and she did not obey. Rumor reached Joffrey that his Lord Commander had refused the Queen's will. In the throne room, before nobles and septons alike, the boy king demanded explanation. Brienne knelt at the foot of the Iron Throne, helm tucked under arm, and said only, My vows are to your safety, your grace. I will not weaken your guard for the sake of banners. Joffrey's purple mouth twisted. He raised a hand to strike, and found his wrist caught in Tywin's iron grip. The hand's voice rumbled. The Lord Commander speaks wisely. Loyalty is forged of oath, not coin. Cersei's eyes burned, yet she said nothing. That night Brienne patrolled the ramparts alone, moonlight silvering her armor. Twice she felt the brush of unseen eyes. Arrow slits darkened as she passed. In the outer yard, she found her destrier's oats salted with glass shards. She tended the beast herself, then stationed Swan to keep watch. An honor, he said, and meant it. Trust mounts, not men, she told him quietly. Yet even a good mount may be spooked. He followed her gaze to the high tower where Cersei's rooms glowed amber. The first blade came at dawn on the third week. Brienne crossed the serpentine steps toward the royal sept for morning prayers, Joffrey's new affectation, encouraged by Pycelle, when a scullion girl tumbled from a doorway, sobbing that Ser Meryn needed help. The maid's face bore fresh bruises. Her apron dripped wine. Brienne followed without question. They reached a vaulted corridor lined with old arms. Spears from Aegon's conquest, shields cracked at the field of fire. No candles, only the dim red of sunrise bleeding through arrow slits. The scullion darted ahead, then spun, dagger flashing. Brienne's sword leapt free with a hiss. Too late she felt movement behind. Ser Osmond Kettleblack lunging from under a hanging tapestry, mace arcing toward her helm. The blow rang, sparked. She reeled, vision blossoming stars. The scullion stabbed, steel skittering off breastplate. Brienne slammed her mailed elbow into the girl's jaw. Bone cracked, body crumpled. She pivoted in time to meet Osmond's second swing. Oathkeeper caught shaft, slid, severed wood from head. She reversed, butt spike striking his knee. Osmond bellowed, dropped. Then Ser Meryn's pale sword squealed from scabbard. He charged down the corridor, eyes bulging. Their blades clashed, sparks flew. Meryn hammered slash after slash, screaming curses. Brienne gave ground, parried high, low, swept his legs, drove pommel into his face. Blood spattered. Meryn snarled and thrust, seeking gaps. Brienne twisted, felt steel scrape ringmail at her hip. Pain flared, but she turned that pain into iron. One stride past his guard, her elbow crashed against his helm. Her gauntlet seized his gorget, and with a mighty heave she slammed him against the stone wall. One morning light framed them, red on rust. "Yield," she commanded. "Woman," Meryn spat blood, "you'll die screaming. So be it." Brienne drew back Oathkeeper. Yet before she could strike, boots thundered. Guards flooded the corridor, gold cloaks and red-cloaked Lannister men alike. At their head strode Tywin Lannister. The old lion surveyed the tableau. Osmond groaning on shattered knee, the scullion inert, Meryn pinned, sword dangling from numb fingers. Brienne, helm dented, visor cracked, blood seeping through slashed surcoat yet eyes unwavering. "Explain," Tywin commanded. Brienne's words came crisp and calm. "An ambush, my lord, within the Red Keep." Tywin's gaze pierced Meryn, then Osmond. "Ser Osmond, he serves the queen." His tone bore no question. "Ser Meryn serves no one but fear, and fear answers only itself." He turned to Brienne. "The kingdom bleeds rumors. This will be one more." She waited. "See them clapped in irons." Tywin ordered the gold cloaks without looking away from Brienne. "Take the girl to the dungeons." "As you command." When the corridor cleared, Tywin faced her fully. "You have many enemies." "Enemies do not frighten me," Brienne said. "Failure does." Tywin's mouth twitched, almost a smile quickly gone. "Serve well, and you will bind the court in awe. Serve poorly, and you will die alone, reviled." "I swore." "I." He started to turn, then paused. "Tell me, Lord Commander, why did you not kill Meryn?" None would have mourned. "Because a knight who dies unrepentant teaches nothing," she said. "A living coward shames himself each dawn." Tywin considered that, then inclined his head the barest fraction. "Very well." When he left, Brienne stood alone, Oathkeeper heavy in her grip. The cut at her hip stung. The corridor smelled of spilled wine and copper. She pressed a hand to the wound, felt warmth, felt life. Weeks blurred into months. Brienne drilled the Kingsguard daily. First at dawn on the east ramparts, then again at dusk before the dragon skulls deep beneath the Red Keep. She paired Ser Balon against Ser Loras in mock duels until both men's arms shook. She set Ser Meryn to spar blindfolded with training swords, each bruise teaching him caution he had never before shown. Small folk watched from rooftops when she rode patrol through Flea Bottom, flanked by page boys bearing lanterns. She listened to their tales, of bakers shorted on flour, of septons robbing orphans, of sellswords preying on dockside widows. She sent petitions to the hand. Some were answered with coin, others with steel. More than once, she faced Cersei's scorn in council chambers. The Queen Regent accused her of overreach, of meddling in matters beneath her station. Brienne's answers were few words, spoken clearly. "The king's peace is my charge." When Joffrey found his mother's tempers wearied, he summoned Brienne to his solar. There, he bade her demonstrate sword forms for his amusement. Sometimes with a live opponent, sometimes slicing hanging oranges midair while the king counted halves. On one occasion, He commanded her to spar Sansa Stark with willow branches. Brienne refused, gently but unflinchingly, kneeling till the king relented. That night, rumors grew wilder still, that the new Lord Commander answered only to her conscience. In truth, it was not conscience alone. It was Renly's ghost, dying nightly beneath a shadow. It was Catelyn's quiet faith. It was Podrick Payne trailing behind her like a forgotten promise. She carried them all beneath that white cloak. Winter winds reached the capital early that year, rattling shutters, driving refugees southward. With them came tales: Roose Bolton marching, Stannis massing at Dragonstone, Greyjoys raiding the shields. In council, Pycelle droned of grain stores. Littlefinger smirked over ledgers. Varys whispered of secrets buried in the dark. Through it all, Brienne stood sentinel behind Joffrey's chair, silent save for the scrape of mail when she shifted. One brittle morning, Lord Tywin announced he would ride west to rally the Riverlands. His absence, he said, demanded a steady hand remain to counsel the king. All eyes turned to the Queen Regent, but Cersei surprised them all. "I propose the Lord Commander," she declared, voice smooth as vintage arbor gold. "Who better to guard his grace's person and guide his steps than the living visage of knightly virtue?" Joffrey's mouth dropped. Brienne's heart thundered. Tywin's gaze flicked between queen, king, and knight. "Very well," he said at last. "On one condition, the small council shall confirm a regent of equal standing." He looked to Brienne. "You will serve as protector of the king's person. You will not meddle in coin or ravens or ships." Brienne bowed. "I accept." Cersei's smile was a blade behind silk. That night, ghostfire torches burned blue along the courtyard as Tywin's column rode out. Snowflakes drifted in the torchlight, melting on black iron. Brienne watched from the parapet, cloak whipping in cold wind. She sensed rather than heard the figure approach. "Protector now," Ser Balon said quietly. "A higher leap than anyone expected. Higher than I Ver wished," she murmured. He leaned on the stone. "Cersei sets snares with honeyed words. She means to bleed you dry of friends. Be wary of gifts. Gifts can be refused. Not always." Balon's eyes found hers. "Should the king command a thing foul, will you refuse?" Brienne stared into snowblown dark. "I will not become a kingslayer, nor a pawn," Balon said. He clasped her forearm. "I stand with you." She placed her gauntlet hand over his. "Then we stand." Snow fell heavier. Somewhere below, a lone girl sang a lullaby in the streets, voice thin, brave against the storm. Brienne listened, and for the first time since donning white, she allowed herself a single breath of hope, that songs yet unsung might find sweeter endings. Those endings would wait, tangled in treachery yet to come, but Brienne of Tarth, Lord Commander, Protector, Sapphire Guard, held her station atop the great walls, watching winter's first flurry settle on the red roofs of King's Landing, her oath shining within as bright as any dawn. The first snows became a siege of ice that winter, drifting in from Blackwater Bay like pale armies without banners. Frozen sleet rattled on the shutters of Maegor's Holdfast, and the Red Keep's towers stood wreathed in hoarfrost until even the gilded gargoyles looked like shards of milk glass. Brienne kept the Kingsguard drilling anyway. Before sunrise, she led them to the mud-slick practice yard, breath puffing in clouds, the ring of steel echoing between frost-caked walls. Ser Meryn swung with stiff shoulders and a bruised ego, his defeat at her hands still purple on his cheek. Ser Osmond limped on a splinted knee but spat curses when she told him to rest. Ser Balon alone moved with easy rhythm, matching her feints as though the chill were nothing more than mist on a calm lake. When the bells of the great September tolled prime, Brienne dismissed the men and cloaked herself in rough-spun for her patrol of Flea Bottom. She rode alone this day. Podrick had been sent to squire in the armory with Donnell Waynwood, and she trusted no other. The city lay hushed beneath new snow, its alleyways muffled, its usual rancid stew of dung and cod and tannery vats exchanged for the clean bite of winter air. People watched her pass with wary hope, and she answered each nod with a slow, solemn incline of her head. The Sapphire Guard, they whispered, some kindly, some mocking. At Cobbler's Square, she stopped before a tanner's shack where 2 children huddled beside a rat-gnawed loaf. Brienne dismounted, knelt, and cut the bread in halves, adding coins from her belt pouch. A mother emerged, eyes sunken, thanking her in a tremulous voice. Brienne rode on, the weight of every empty belly a stone in her breastplate. That afternoon she climbed the serpentine steps to the small council chamber, where the iron braziers cast little warmth and less comfort. Grand Maester Pycelle muttered through cracked lips about diminishing grain reserves. Lord Baelish countered with promises of new contracts from Pentos, and Varys fluttered like some graveyard moth, warning of Sellsword companies crossing the narrow sea. Joffrey lounged on the cushioned dais, fur-lined mantle slipping from his thin shoulders, boredom etched deep. Beside him, Cersei's gaze never left Brienne. When the council at last ended, the queen beckoned with one lacquered finger. Brienne obeyed, stepping in close enough to smell myrrh on Cersei's gloves. "You refuse my guard rotations," Cersei murmured, too quietly for others to hear. "You overrule my captains in matters of supply. Do you imagine the crown can suffer such insolence?" "My oath requires I place the king's life above all," Brienne answered. "Even politics." "Politics is life, dear girl." The queen's smile cut like a whetstone. "One day your vows may drown you. If so, I will not struggle." Cersei's gloved hand brushed Brienne's cloak clasp in feigned affection. Under the silk, her nails dug like talons. "Then pray the water stays calm." 3 nights later, the calm shattered. A feast in the queen's ballroom celebrated the first snow. Golden carp roasted with oranges, quails and almond milk, honey chestnuts, and the flicker of torchlight gleamed on satin gowns in Tyrell green and Lannister crimson. The Tyrells had ridden hard from Highgarden to negotiate fresh grain shipments, their escort of Greenhand knights bringing gossip of Stannis' fleet rebuilding at Cape Wrath. Lady Olenna stood like a gnarled staff among blooming cousins, sharp eyes counting every whisper. Marjorie Tyrell, wrapped in winter violet silk, offered Joffrey smiles that glimmered with measured promise. Brienne took her post behind the king, helm under arm, every sense stretched taut. She tasted the air for poison, watched each servitor's hands for quick flicks near platter sides. Musicians thrummed lutes, laughter rolled. Yet beneath the gaiety, tension coiled like a viper. Near midnight, the first scream rose, a high, strangled note from a serving boy who had spilled wine. Chaos skittered across the hall, table legs upended, goblets ringing on stone, dancers scattering. Through the surge barreled a lean shadow in a ratty cloak, a glint of steel in his fist. He vaulted a fallen chair, sprinting straight for Joffrey's dais. Brienne moved before thought. Oathkeeper flashed, a single arcing stroke that carved the assassin's wrist from arm. Blood spurted black in torchlight, the dagger clattering harmlessly at her boot. The man shrieked, crumpled, and Brienne kicked him face down, boot on his spine. The hall roared with alarm. Gold cloaks poured in, harried by Meryn. Loras Tyrell, quick as a cat, had his sword out though still half drunk. Marjorie clutched Joffrey's sleeve, eyes wide yet unpanicked. Cersei stood, face white with shock, and something more elusive. Brienne yanked back the assassin's hood. A boy no older than 15, his hair shorn, cheeks hollow, inked on his collarbone, a crude red man bleeding from a dozen wounds, the sigil of the Brotherhood without banners. Under questioning, he said nothing, only spat blood and gibbered half-mad prayers to the Red God. As gold cloaks dragged him away, Brienne felt the queen's gaze burn into her helm. Joffrey, trembling, forced laughter. "Well struck, Lord Commander. You see, Mother, my dog bites." Later, as torches guttered in snowy gusts, Cersei cornered Brienne outside the ballroom. "A child assassin," she hissed. "How came he within our walls?" "Your Grace, the gate lists show no new strangers among kitchen staff." "Spare me scrolls." The queen's perfume hung thick enough to choke. "Do I rule a castle or a civ?" "You rule a kingdom at war with itself," Brienne answered. "Walls leak when hearts do." Cersei's eyes narrowed into green slits. Perhaps hearts are not the only thing leaking. Brienne held her stare unflinching. At last the queen flung her fur cloak round her shoulders and stalked into darkness. Snow thickened into weeks of white silence, yet trouble bloomed beneath the drift. 3 gold cloaks were found gutted on the muddy way, tongues cut out. A baker's kiln exploded, killing 4, after a stranger paid the apprentices double wages to douse the coals in oil. A raven arrived bearing word that Ser Amory Lorch had perished on the Gold Road, felled by an arrow bearing Baratheon heraldry, or so the rider claimed. Joffrey grew shrill with each dispatch, ordering public lashings, demanding heads. Brienne answered each command with measured questions, guiding the king's temper from wildfire to torch. Yet the court felt cracks spidering beneath its marble veneer. Ser Osmond petitioned for release from his cell, promising loyalty renewed. Cersei pressed for a lighter sentence. Brienne refused, citing the Book of Brothers entry where traitors were forever struck out. That night 2 jailers were murdered and Osmond vanished into the dungeons. His escape became rumor. No one admitted seeing him climb from the black cells, but torchlight flickered strangely behind the walls where secret tunnels once carried Targaryen princes into the city. Balon Swan reported covert messages passing from Cersei's apartments to the Tower of the Hand, now empty of Tywin's iron presence. Brienne authorized discreet shadowing, but within hours one of Swan's spies was found floating in the rush, throat cut so clean light shone through when they lifted him by the hair. The court poised like a drawn bow. Across the sea of rooftops, moonlit on fresh snow, Brienne met Sansa stark in the Godswood. The girl had grown paler, her flame-red hair dulled by grief. She knelt before the heart tree, praying soft as falling ash. When she rose, Brienne rose with her. "My lady," Brienne said, voice low, "you wish to see me." Sansa clasped frozen fingers. "Your Grace," she corrected herself, remembering. "Lord Commander." Her voice trembled. I fear the Queen plots against me. She hears I weep for home and calls me traitor." "You are hostage, not traitor," Brienne said, "and under my guard while in the Red Keep. They talk of a marriage." Tears rimmed Sansa's lashes. "To some reach bannerman 20 years my elder. Joffrey delights in taunting me with it." Brienne's hand rested on Oathkeeper's pommel. "If the king decrees marriage, law obeys." Sansa's breath hitched. Could you take me north? If Robb lives, he would grant ransom." The Knight of Tarth stared at a single snowflake melting on the girl's cheek. Duty clashed with memory. Stone giants at Winterfell's gates, a she-wolf who trusted a stranger knight to bring daughters home. Brienne felt oath upon oath weighing heavier than any warhammer. "I cannot," she whispered at last. "Not yet." Sansa nodded, though sorrow crushed her shoulders. "Then protect me here." "I will," Brienne swore, "on my honor and on the honor of all 7 who stand in white." When Sansa left, Brienne lingered beneath bare weirwood limbs, red leaves long since carried off by autumn gales. "Forgive me, Lady Catelyn," she murmured. "Not all roads run straight." Time crawled. Letters arrived from Tywin. Skirmishes near Harrenhal, Roose Bolton's heel dragging, Edmure Tully's sortie on the Red Fork. With each raven came veiled praise for Brienne's vigilance. Praise that galled Cersei like a hair shirt. One frostbrittle dawn, Brienne found a folded parchment under her pillow. No servant had entered. The white tower locks were triple-barred. The note bore no seal, only a smear of wax shaped like a tear. In precise, feminine script it read, "The boy wears a lion's crown but reigns in the wolf's shadow. When the cub snaps, the lioness will bleed. The maid must choose her forest." She burned the message, yet the words coiled in her mind. That evening she sparred Ser Loras in the practice yard. Both clad in plate, snow crunching under boot. Loras drove forward in a flurry of cuts, Silver Rose surcoat whipping. Brienne parried, pivoted, and swept his feet from under him. He hit the ground laughing, helm visor rattling. "You have grown fiercer, my lady," he said, pushing back snow-dusted tresses. "Fiercer than the north wind." "Tarth is windy," she replied, offering a gauntlet hand. He grasped her forearm, rising. There are whispers of gold cloaks grumbling. Should you need an ally, the Knight of Flowers would not withhold his thorns. My thanks. Loras lowered his voice. Marjorie says the Queen thinks of new champions for Joffrey's favor. Ones who will obey her rather than you. He gestured across the yard where red-plumed helms glinted. Beware men bought by roses traded for gold. Brienne touched the white cloak at her shoulder. A cloak bought is no longer white. Some stains look fair from afar, Loras warned, eyes earnest. The Queen's answer came at midwinter. Rumors spread of a tournament, the Winter's Dawn Tilt, to honor Joffrey's first name day as crowned king. Cersei declared the list open to any man of martial standing in the city, knight or common. Brienne smelled trap, yet the city thrilled at the notion. Justs in fresh snow, banners against a white sky, a champion crowned before the heart tree. On the day, trumpets brayed under bleak clouds. The tourney field lay beyond the gate of the gods, white tents flapping. Crowds gathered bundled in furs. Joffrey watched from an elevated dais, cloaked in ermine and impatience. Beside him, Cersei glimmered in cloth of gold. Brienne, in full plate but without helm or surcoat, oversaw the lists with Balon Swan. 20 competitors assembled. She noted 2 unknown hedge knights whose armor bore new polish yet cheap leather straps. Not mercenaries, but disguised soldiers perhaps. She watched them. The justs ran bloody, lances shattered, a squire's skull cracked. A Dornish rider lost 3 teeth to a mace blow in a melee that spilled off the tilt. When at last only 3 remained, Ser Balon, Ser Loras, and 1 hooded knight in white lacquered steel. The sun hovered dim and red behind snow clouds. The hooded knight approached the dais, raised his visor. Ser Osmond Kettleblack, scarred knee hidden beneath mail. Gasps rippled. Brienne's gauntlet tightened on Oathkeeper's grip. Cersei rose, clapping slow. A crowd loves redemption, she purred. Joffrey shrieked delight. Loras faced Osmond first. 2 passes ended in a broken lance and Osmond's horse lamed. But when Balon rode against him, Osmond loosed his reins mid-gallop, flung a dagger underhand. The blade whirred. Balon's stallion reared, the weapon burying deep in its flank. Horse and rider crashed in a tangle. Snow churned crimson. Shouts erupted. Osmond wheeled, hauling free a second dagger. Brienne vaulted the rail, landing in drifts. She sprinted, armor thundering. Osmond spurred at her, dagger poised. Brienne's sword rang out and she cleaved the dagger midair. Shards spun away like silver hail. Osmond's horse barreled closer. She seized its bridle, muscles straining, and yanked sideways. Horse and rider tumbled. Osmond pinned beneath the beast. She tore Osmond free, slammed him to the ground, knee on his chest. He spat blood, gnashed teeth. "I yield," he rasped. "Grant mercy, Lady Knight. Mercy," Brienne whispered. She glanced up at the dais where Cersei watched, face unreadable. The crowd screamed for blood, for mercy, for gold. Joffrey's grin shone like a wolf pup's. Brienne looked into Osmond's eyes and saw no remorse, only cunning. She sheathed Oathkeeper, rose, and turned away. "Chain him," she ordered. "Let the king decide." But Joffrey leapt down, grabbed a guard's spear, strode across churned snow. "He tried to kill my dog," the boy shouted to all. "Let the world see a traitor's fate." And before Brienne could reach him, Joffrey drove the spear through Osmond's throat. Blood geysered. The crowd fell silent, horrified. Cersei flinched, then forced applause. Brienne turned the king aside, shielding him from spurting gore. Joffrey panted, eyes bright. "A good kill?" he asked. "No kill is good," she answered, voice hollow. That night rumors flew thicker than snow, that the Queen Regent had staged Osmond's redemption to test Brienne's reaction, that the king enjoyed murder like sweetmeats, that a woman commander had no leash for a mad boy. Balon Swan lingered in the infirmary, a shattered shoulder from the fall. Brienne sat beside his cot past midnight, binding splints, listening to his slow breaths. "You saved me," he murmured through pain. "Not enough," she replied. "I could not stop the dagger." Couldn't stop the boy either, Balan whispered. Who will, Brienne? She had no answer. Midwinter thieves moon-hung sickle-thin when the next blow fell. Atop the ramparts during a blizzard, Brienne patrolled with 2 white cloaks. Snow blinded sight, muffled sound. Near the Tower of the Hand a shape loomed. Ser Boros Blunt, slumped against parapet, throat sawed ear to ear. Beside him, scrawled in blood on the stone. White cloaks drape red, torches flickered, footsteps crunched. Brienne's escort turned, steel flashed. The nearer man swung a short axe, missing her helm by inches. The second lunged with a dirk. Brienne spun, parried high, crushed Axeman's wrist. A knee to his gut folded him. The dirk jabbed. She caught the blade in mail-clad palm, yanked its wielder forward, and drove a mailed fist into his teeth. The assassin sprawled stunned. Brienne thrust him against the parapet, snow spiraling off the edge. Below, 300 feet of empty air. Who sent you? She demanded. The man spat blood and a broken tooth. The queen has more sons than one. He twisted, trying to hurl himself over, but Brienne dragged him back, slammed his skull to stone. In the lantern's glow, she saw the faint red candle mark of a brothel on his left hip. One of Chataya's girls used such tokens for regular patrons. She bound both would-be killers, raised the alarm. Before dawn, gold cloaks searched every brothel in the city. Chataya herself denied knowledge yet offered a ledger. Coin traced back to a merchant factor who answered to no one and vanished before questioning. Cersei raged that her son was threatened by bawds and whores, ordering mass arrests. Brienne countermanded the order, citing no evidence. They screamed at each other in the Queen's solar until Joffrey, cowed by the noise, retreated behind his mother's skirts. That noon Brienne found a second note on her pillow. The lioness has claws but no fangs. Cut the paw and the cub dies. Ride east when first thaw comes. Again she burned the words, but smoke left its bitter taste on her tongue. Tywin returned as the new year broke, banners bedraggled, armor mud-stained after weeks on frosted roads. He summoned council at once. Brienne stood at her post behind Joffrey, observing faces. Lord Baelish smiled too broadly. Pycelle wheezed in relief. Varys watched silently, pale spider fingers intertwined. Tywin reported a tenuous victory at Maidenpool and a parley with Roose Bolton. We bloodied the flayed man's flag enough to earn pause. Yet he warned of Northmen massing near Moat Cailin, Ironborn raiding the Shield Islands unchecked, and Stannis' ships re-rigged with thicker hulls for ramming wildfire hulks. The realm, he said, needed discipline. His cold gaze landed upon Brienne. You have done well to hold the keep. She bowed. Too well, Cersei muttered. The city clamors sapphire, sapphire, while whispering that my son is but a cub on her leash. The answer is not distrust, but unity, Tywin stated. We shall exhibit such unity. The tourney of the White Lady. Surprise flickered on every face. Tywin explained. A grand tourney, not mere winter feast, to raise funds for grain and celebrate the Kingsguard's First Lady Lord Commander. Knights from all corners invited. Merchants taxed lightly for stalls, wagers to fill the royal coffers. By honoring Brienne, they bound her fame to the crown, and by offering spectacle, they soothed the populace. Cersei masked displeasure behind a measured nod. Joffrey clapped approval. Varys murmured flattery. Brienne felt the invisible chain tighten. A collar of gold called gratitude. After council, Tywin drew her aside. Your name grows beyond walls. Threatens some. I threaten none who keep the peace, she answered. Peace rarely keeps itself. He studied her the way a master smith weighs a blade. Tell me, Lord Commander, can you do what must be done when it offends your honor? My honor bends to oath, my lord. Then pray it never must snap. Preparations began at once. The city buzzed like thaw-woken flies. Carpenters erecting stands, seamstresses sewing banners, butchers smoking hogs. Brienne overs. A security with Balan, his arms still bound but voice sharp. She assigned patrols, doubled gate watches, forbade unknown shields near the king. One dawn, Inspecting stalls near the dragon pit, she spied Podrick Payne among a troop of pages hauling barrels. He beamed at her, cheeks pink with cold. "Practice with the quarterstaff every night," he reported proudly. "Ser Donnell says I might make squire proper by summer." "Keep your guard high," Brienne told him, ruffling snow from his hood. "Steel waits for no season." His grin warmed her more than any brazier. On the eve of the tourney, whispers reached Brienne that a foreign sellsword had bribed 3 gold cloaks for entry to the royal stands. She confronted Commander Slint at the barracks. He blustered ignorance until she laid a parchment bearing his signature beside a purse of Bravosi dragons. His face blanched chalk-white. She relieved him of command on the spot, posting Balon as interim captain. Cersei erupted. "You exceed your station. The City Watch answers to the throne." Brienne stood before the Iron Throne, helm under arm. "The throne entrusted me with his grace's safety. A captain who sells seats may sell blades." Joffrey, intrigued by the drama, waved a dismissive hand. "Fine, let her keep the watch if she wants." Tywin nodded once. Approved. Cersei's fury burned silent, but her eyes promised storm. The tourney of the White Lady dawned bright under a clear, aching sky. Sunlight sparked off armor and set pennants aflutter. A new dais overlooking the Blackwater bore the king, queen, and court. Brienne, in full plate burnished to a mirror sheen, white cloak spotless, stood sentinel. Knights from the Reach, the Vale, and even distant Karth paraded. Among them a hulking figure in sable armor trimmed with rubies rode a black courser. Ser Gullion of Qohor, famed for blood-price duels. Another, lithe and masked by a silver helm shaped like a hawk, bore no device. More than 90 entrants filled the lists. Trumpets blared. The first tilts cracked lances to splinters. Cheers thundered from packed stands. Brienne scanned every corner, every hand on pommel. Tywin watched her as much as the lists. Halfway through the day, a commotion near the western vendor stalls. Shouting, then screams. Smoke rose, a brazier overturned onto oil-soaked canvas. Brienne signaled Swan, leapt the barrier, raced through crowds. Flames licked tents, tongues of orange shredding blue sky. A cart of wineskins burst, feeding fire. People stampeded. She grabbed a fallen child, thrust him into his mother's arms. Gold cloaks struggled to drag buckets from a frozen well. Then through the firestorm charged Ser Gullion, black armor glowing red, greatsword raised. He scattered guards like ninepins, cut a gold cloak in two, and beelined for the royal stands. Brienne sprinted to intercept, snow slush crunching under greaves. Gullion's blade arced. She parried, sparks hissing. He pressed like a battering ram, strength monstrous, each blow hammering her shield to dented ruin. She gave ground, drew him away from panicked civilians. They fought at the edge of a frozen ornamental pond. Ice cracked under their boots. Brienne ducked a wide slash, lunged. Oathkeeper slid between gorget and breastplate. Gullion roared, staggering back, blood spraying. He swung wild. She knocked his sword aside, kicked his knee, and with a final heave plunged him through fractured ice. Water swallowed him with a hiss of steam as heat met winter chill. Brienne hauled herself gasping to shore. Guards doused remaining flames. Across the field, Joffrey watched, eyes alight, while Cersei's mouth opened in a silent snarl. That night in the White Tower Solar, Tywin came in unannounced. He laid 2 objects on the desk, a ruby ripped from Gullion's armor and a strip of parchment sewn into his tunic. The parchment bore the same tear-shaped wax mark Brienne knew too well. "An assassin of coin, hired by an enemy unknown," Tywin said. "The mark appears in Bravos among the Iron Bank's darker ledgers." Brienne touched wax that looked like dried blood. "Someone pays well to break the realm. Someone pays more to fracture your command," Tywin corrected. "One day you may face a foe whose purse outweighs your oath. Oath cannot be bought. Everything has price." Tywin's voice softened. "But some costs ruin the buyer." Deepest winter set in, freezing the rush to sluggish ice flows. Grain wagons from the reach lined the roads, yet their wheels shattered on frost-heaved stones. Small folk died in drifts beside spilled barley. In taverns they cursed the queen, cursed the war, cursed the white lady whose drills did not fill bellies. Brienne ordered gold cloaks to escort shipments, but bandits struck like wolves, vanishing into woods. One starless night she rode with a convoy, 6 carts, 20 cloaks, Balon at her side. Frost furred every beard, hoofs cracking ice. Near the burned village of Soubelly, arrows hailed. Bandits burst from tree line clad in patchwork furs. Battle erupted among snow-buried ruins. Brienne rode down a bowman, sword biting cold as iron. Another leapt onto a cart, hacking sacks. Grain spilled like golden snow. Balon's horse took an arrow. He fell, pinned by leg beneath saddle. Brienne wheeled, slew 3 to reach him. She heaved the horse aside, yanked Balon free. Arrows hissed. She dragged him beneath a toppled wall. Her shield bristled quills. Gold cloaks rallied, but numbers favored bandits 2 to 1. Brienne knew hold would fail. She blew a horn 3 blasts, distress. In answer came thunder of hooves. Lady Marjorie's escort of green hands, returning from Highgarden envoys, swept in ranks of green and gold. Their lances skewered bandits. Others fled into dark. When silence fell, Brienne knelt beside Balon. Arrow through thigh, bleeding but alive. He gritted teeth. "A scrape," he lied. Marjorie dismounted, cloak swirling. "Lord Commander, the roads are wolves' dens," she said, voice gentle yet firm. "Let my knights guard your convoys." Brienne hesitated. Tyrell favor cost coin of its own. But need outweighed pride. She bowed. "I accept." The queen received the news coldly. Tyrell lances watching grain meant Tyrell hands on purse strings. She confronted Brienne before the Iron Throne, Joffrey present, Tywin observing. "You surrender royal charge to foreign house," Cersei accused. "I reinforce it," Brienne answered, weary yet unbowed. "The king's people must eat. They will choke on rose thorns." Joffrey, bored of politics, snapped fingers. "Enough! If grain arrives, let flowers guard it. Let the dog chase them if they bite." Cersei's nails dug crescents in her palms. After audience, Brienne made to leave, but Tywin blocked her path. "You accumulate allies and foes alike," he warned softly. "Do not forget which may strike first." "Nor which may stand last," she replied. In the White Tower that midnight, Brienne tended her dented shield, hammering out axe gouges. Candlelight danced on Oathkeeper's edge. Snow whispered against arrow slits. Suddenly, a faint scratch at the door. She rose, sword half-drawn. "It's me," whispered Podrick. He slipped inside, face ghost-pale. "A man at the stables. He gave me this." He held a scrap of vellum. Brienne unrolled it, blood pounding. The Tyrwax seal. Inside a single line, "The wolf howls beneath the lion's moon. If the maid would keep her oath, follow the howl tonight." Podrick swallowed. "What does it mean?" "That my road has come round." She strapped on sword belt, donned fur cloak. "Stay within these walls, Pod. Trust no one." He nodded, frightened yet resolute. "I will." She moved like shadow through torchlit corridors, descending stairs seldom trod, passing Blackfire's skull gray with dust. In the belly of the keep, she slipped through a postern gate into moonlit snow. The city lay silent, frost sparkling. She followed narrow alleys, footsteps muffled. At Riverman's wharf she heard it, a distant howl, mournful. She pressed on, emerging at the ruined Dragon Pit Hill. There, in the lee of stone arches, stood a cloaked figure taller than most men, face hidden in shadow. Wolf's head brooch glinted silver at his throat. Brienne's hand went to sword hilt. "Name yourself." The figure inclined his head. "A friend sworn to the north. You ride for honor. I ride for vengeance. Our roads converge. Speak plain." "The queen readies poison for her own king, your oath's charge, so that blame may fall upon a rose." The voice was low, northern, yet refined. Some lord in exile. "She seeds accusation and harvests chaos. You alone can stop it. Why trust a stranger's word? Because your shield is cracked, but your heart is not. The figure produced a bundle, a vial stoppered with black wax, etched with lion sigil, seized from an apothecary in Flea Bottom by men who follow me. Enough to kill a boy in his cup. Brienne weighed the vial in gloved fingers. Bitter almond scent. Why give this to me? To keep a realm from falling, and to earn safe passage for a girl whose hair is autumn fire. Sansa. A gull cried overhead, wings black against moon. Brienne met the stranger's hidden gaze. Name the hour. When the king drinks to greet the first crocus bloom, on the morrow at supper. So soon. Her pulse thudded like a war drum. The figure melted backward, snow swirling about boot prints. Trust steel, not counsel. And with that, he vanished into shadows. Brienne stood alone beneath crumbling domes, the city's 1,000 chimneys smoking like battlefield pyres. She closed fist around the poison. Duty warred with doubt. If she accused the queen without proof, walls would close in. If she stayed silent, a boy she despised might die. Realm plunged deeper into war. She turned toward the Red Keep. Tomorrow's dawn would find her at the queen's door, oathkeeper in hand, ready to carve truth from lies or fall beneath them. And somewhere beneath layers of steel and snow-streaked cloth, Brienne of Tarth felt the old dream stirring. That one knight's honor might yet mend a kingdom left in ruins by men who had forgotten what a vow meant. She breathed deep the frozen air and strode back toward the gates, white cloak billowing behind like the unfurled wing of some great pale hawk, bearing her into the darkest night before whatever dawn must come. The snow rose to knee-height on the outer bailey by the time the bells tolled lauds, a hush of gray light filtering across the still sleeping city. Brienne had slept scarcely an hour, if closing one's eyes while hand tightened around a hilt could be called sleep. Yet her mind felt honed, a blade drawn across whetstone. She strapped on mail shirt and plate herself, refusing the sleepy page's fumbling aid, made fast the white cloak whose hem carried soot from yesterday's flames, and slipped the slender vial of almond-scented poison into a hidden pouch sewn against her rib. Every heartbeat reminded her it lay there, fragile as a spider's egg and twice as deadly. Down steep granite stairs, frost crisp under boot, she descended into the armory where the Kingsguard gathered for dawn muster. Ser Meryn, shoulders hunched like a whipped cur, avoided her eyes. Ser Boros's vacant place gaped beside him, a cold reminder and warning etched in blood. Balon Swan, pale but resolute despite the cane he must now lean upon, saluted first. Loras Tyrell followed, brightness dampened by caution, though his smile flashed quick as steel when she nodded greeting. Ser Preston Greenfield arrived last, helm tucked beneath arm, muttering prayer. The unspoken tension knotted them together like fraying rope under strain. Rotations hold as yesterday, Brienne announced, voice low but carrying in the vaulted chamber. Ser Loras, you guard his grace through morning prayers, then relieve Ser Meryn at the queen's door until midday. Swan, you command gold cloaks on the western wall. Send scouts along the Sauberly road for bandit sign and ride behind if you can. She gestured toward his wounded leg and saw defiance flicker. If the pain bites, stand down. Better a living captain than a dead legend. Balon's jaw tightened, yet he inclined his head. As you command, Lord Commander. Meryn Preston, you walk the great gallery outside Maegor's Holdfast. No one enters save the king, the queen, or myself. Her blue gaze fixed Meryn's bloodshot eyes. No one. The knight swallowed but managed a stiff nod. Brienne turned away before scorn could crease her brow. He was a blunt sword, but blunt steel could hold a door shut. She dismissed them, then strode through narrow service passages until heat prickled her cheeks. The royal kitchens, alive hours earlier than the sun. Fires snarled under iron grates. Scullions whisked cream in deep bowls. Stew pots burbled, and the smell of cloves and river onions mingled with wood smoke. Brienne's shadow loomed across flagstones as she entered, and a hush rippled. People pretended not to stare, yet their eyes clung to the white cloak like frost to glass, half fearful, half hopeful. She scanned faces. Old Tom the baker with flour in his lashes, Widow Mara slicing turnips, the spice boy from Lys whose quick hands had carved sugar swans for the last feast. Innocence all, or so she prayed. But poison could pass through any palm. Guilt traveled cloaked among lambs. At last she found what she sought. The king's taster, Maester Rowney, fussing over a tray of pewter flasks. Small and round as a dormouse, Rowney squeaked when Brienne blocked his light. "Lord Commander, mercy, I have done no wrong. I pray that is true." She lowered her voice, conscious of the throng. "When his grace dines tonight, you will taste every cup twice. Sip, wait 10 breaths, sip again. No servant touches wine save you. Is that clear?" Rowney blinked owlishly. "Twice? But his grace loathes delay. He will endure it." She leaned closer. "And you will pour from cask you tap yourself, not from white flasks, not from Tyroshi bottles bearing figs, not from any vessel sealed in beeswax of uncommon hue. Have I painted the warning brightly enough?" The maester wilted. "Yes, my lady. My lady is for highborn courts. I am a knight." She straightened. "Do as I bid, and you will feast tomorrow. Fail, and 7 hells cannot hide you from my wrath." She left him trembling terror. She had found, preserved some men better than loyalty. Outside, the courtyard blazed gold where sun climbed cloudless slate. The city below remained muffled beneath snow, but within the red keep life clanged back to haste. Smiths hammered dents from helms scarred at tourney. Scribes hurried past with armfuls of fresh edicts regarding levies and tithe. A pair of septons in fur-lined robes paused to bow. She answered with a curt nod, then remembered Sansa's plea echoing like cold water down her spine. Safe passage, the northern girl had begged, trusting Brienne's promise. But safety could not sprout while poison stalked the throne. One battle at a time, she told herself, and cursed the taste of compromise. Mid-morning found her in the Tower of the Hand, summoned by Lord Tywin to a council of few. Himself, Varys, and Lord Baelish. No queen, no Pycelle, notably. Tywin sat at the long blackwood table drumming 2 fingers in a steady rhythm, gaze sharp as freshly ground glass. "Reports say you roamed the city after moonset," he began, dispensing with courtesies. "A risk given recent assassin forays. Explain." Brienne eyed Varys's silken smile and Baelish's feigned air of amusement. "Spies scented blood in secrets. Best feed them little. A lead regarding the attack at the tourney, my lord. I followed it." Peter Baelish twitched one corner of his beard. "And did the lead sprout wings?" "It shrank to dust yet told me enough. Gold flows through channels we have not charted." Tywin's fingers stilled. "Whose gold?" "Not yet certain." Her hand brushed the hidden pocket. "But I suspect it seeks tonight's feast." Varys fluttered lace cuffs. "How dire. Our young king would not relish the headache of sudden death, I fear." "Nor would the realm," Tywin murmured. "You have proof. If the weave catches the spider, proof will follow." Tywin pinned her with pale sea-green eyes. "Do what is necessary." Quietly, he glanced toward Varys. "Spare the city rumors of regicide." "Some rumors prove useful," Baelish offered. "I make a tidy purse on wagers of survival." Brienne ignored him. "I shall begin with the cellars. Poison enters in casks or skins. I will stand watch before supper time." "That would advertise concern," Varys said with a tilt of his head. "Better perhaps to station unseen watchers and let the fish nibble bait." "Unseen watchers fail too often," Brienne answered. "I have already placed my knights. I will be there." Tywin's nod ended debate. "Very well. One more matter. Lady Sansa petitions for winter woolens. Grant them. An unkempt hostage invites jibes we cannot afford." Brienne inclined her head, gratitude unspoken. The girl's welfare glimmered among starker needs. Tywin saw value in every pawn polished. She would use whatever mercy came. When she departed, Varys' whisper followed like an owl's wing. "Be wary, Lord Commander. The greatest leaks spring where stone appears solid." She left them to their riddles. Steel rang truer than riddles. In Maegor's labyrinthine underpassage, the air smelled of damp stone, mouse droppings, and sour casks. Torches spat resinous sparks, casting webs of shadow where beetles scuttled. Brienne ducked beneath archways centuries old, accompanied by Ser Loras and 8 gold cloaks sworn to her directly. Each man carried a shuttered lantern painted white to mark allegiance. Each was chosen for steadiness, not for birth. They checked stave barrels stacked like soldiers, wiped chalk stamps from stoppers, pried random bungs to sniff contents. Nothing but strong wine, momsey, and barrel-aged brown ale. Yet, in the second brick-walled vault, Loras discovered a crate half-buried behind empty amphory. Its lid bore the crowned stag sigil Royal Stores, but the nails were bright new. He levered with dagger. Inside nestled 6 green bottles sealed with black wax flecked in gold. Their labels proclaimed Arbor Gold, but the wax matched that on the vial hidden in Brienne's pocket, not the dour red wax the Arbor vintners favored. She signaled. 2 cloaks fetched Rowney, who waddled down led by lantern light, squeaking that cold cellars offended his lungs. He sniffed a bottle uncertainly, broke the seal, poured a thimbleful into tin cup, and sipped. 1 breath, 2. His cheeks turned ashen. He coughed wetly, staggered, vomited while reeking of almonds. Brienne caught him before he struck floor. Loras grabbed the cup, flung it aside. "It is the Strangler," Rowney wheezed, tears streaming. Thin yet potent, sweet at first, then claws the throat. Brienne lowered him to a cask. She felt heat flood her own throat at the near calamity. "Stay here under guard," she ordered 2 cloaks. "If you sicken further, send runner for maester. Loras with me." They sealed the poison bottles in iron box double-locked, posted 2 more guards, then climbed ever-twisting stairs to the buttery corridor. The castle above hummed with feast preparations. Musicians tuning rebecks, pages strewing rushes, kitchen girls bearing platters of honeyed ham. Brienne's palm itched for hilt. "Who forged the royal sigil on that crate?" Loras whispered as they strode. "Someone beneath these very roofs, or a smith beyond the walls paid dearly." "Likely both," she answered. "We catch the lesser spider and follow its silk. Cersei will strike first if he learns we've found her web." Brienne glanced at him, surprised he voiced the queen's name. Tyrell boldness indeed. Then we ensure she does not learn yet. Near the queen's ballroom they encountered Ser Meryn and Ser Preston flanking a double door draped in tapestries. Meryn's eyes tracked Brienne's every step like a wolf watching flint sparking tinder. Preston offered stiffer nod. She paused. "No one enters carrying drink or plate," she told them. "Search even the king's footmen if you must." "The queen outranks your word, Lord Commander," Meryn muttered. "My word guards her son." Brienne let cold blaze in her voice. "And she will thank me come dawn." Preston touched Meryn's elbow. Whatever mutiny brewed died in his sneer. They yielded. Dusk purpled the sky. Beacons along the city walls ignited, their glow floating above roofs like captured suns. Inside the ballroom heat surged. Braziers roared, candles glittered in crystal chandeliers, and every pillar wore garlands of juniper and winter rose. Nobles arrived wrapped in sable, ermine, snow-white Myrish fox. Yet inside, they shed pelts to reveal velvet the color of berries and wine. Laughter trilled, harps plucked, conversation dripped courtesy over suspicion. Brienne ghosted the periphery, unseen yet unmistakable, a pale tower among grape-red curtains. Loras lingered near a servant's arch, hand on dagger hilt disguised as belt buckle. Balon, against protest, left his cane to stand watch behind the king's chair, injury hidden by spotless greaves. On each table the wine ewers were pewter, no glass, no colored glaze, swapped by her order to ensure nothing foreign blended unnoticed. She studied every face. The queen radiant in cloth of gold hammered so thin it hugged each curve. Grand Maester Pycelle swathed in striped fur, beard newly scented. Lord Baelish charming a cluster of Riverland widows with tales of makeshift ice castles. And Lady Marjorie, in deep Tyrell green that shimmered to aqua when candles struck. She nodded at Brienne once, subtle signal of readiness though no sword perched at her waist. Rowney approached the king first with steaming cup of mulled hippocras. Brienne's heart hammered as the maester sipped, breathed, sipped again. 10 breaths. Nothing. He bowed to Joffrey, who snatched the cup. A tremor chased Brienne's spine until she steadied. 1 cup safe, hundreds remained. Hour flowed into hour. Dancers circled. Fiddles quickened. Platters of honey-glazed capon, pomegranates, and sugared beets paraded forth. Each time wine was poured, Rowney halted, tasted, nodded. Sweat gleamed on his bald pate, though the room sat warm. Twice Brienne caught servants, new faces, who attempted to bypass him. Twice Loras blocked them, smiling dagger-sharp. They fled to corner, muttering. She dispatched cloaks to trail them. At midpoint, a feast Pycelle rose to pronounce blessings. Brienne drifted closer to dais. Cersei stood, lifted a jeweled cup high. "To my son, the light of this long winter," she declared. "May summer bloom within his reign." Gold rippled as courtiers answered. Joffrey, preening, raised his own cup. Rowney leapt to intercept, but Cersei's slender hand covered the rim. "Enough delays, maester. His grace thirsts." "The Lord Commander's orders," Rowney began. Cersei's smile could frost steel. "Her orders stop at my son's lips." She offered the goblet to Joffrey like a sacred relic. Every breath in the hall seemed to hinge. Brienne closed the distance, boots silent on carpet, yet each step felt swallowed by pitch. "Your Grace," she said, soft as falling ash. Joffrey started, cup inches from mouth. Cersei's gaze shot needles. "You overreach, Lord Commander." Brienne bowed slightly, eyes never leaving the liquid. It was deep crimson, no hint of sediment. The strangler needed but a drop. "Allow the protocol, Your Grace. It speaks to your care as mother." "My care is unquestioned." She turned to the crowd. "Should a woman's love for her sons be doubted because steel-clad arms hold her hostage?" Unease rustled among watchers. Joffrey frowned, cheeks reddening at implication of weakness. Brienne met his eyes, a boy's eyes, for all the cruelty they harbored. "Your Grace commanded me to preserve your life. Will you rescind that command this hour?" Confusion warred with vanity in his face. Finally, he thrust the cup out to Rowney. "Taste, taste if you must, but fast." Relief swept Brienne so keen it hurt. Rowney swallowed first sip, closed eyes, breathing measured. Second sip, 10 breaths, nothing. He bowed, voice trembling. "Safe wine, Your Grace." Joffrey gulped, crimson spilling past lip, staining ermine collar. The hall exhaled. Cersei's shoulders eased fraction, yet fury simmered in narrowed gaze. Another hour passed. Entertainment changed to Braavosi fire dancers. The crowd pressed forward, tables shifted. Brienne's vigil strained every sinew, aching under weight of armor. But nothing happened, and still greater cunning often waits until watchers tire. She spotted Lady Margaery slip from dais, gown shimmering. Brienne shadowed at distance. The Tyrell maiden crossed a sideboard lined with sweets. Sugared lemon cakes, spun sugar violets, and a silver pitcher of chilled honey pear cordial. A new handmaiden poured a goblet, curtsied low. Brienne's pulse thumped, hearing the faint pop as wax seal cracked, black wax flecked in gold. Margaery reached. Brienne lunged. Her gauntlet closed over maiden's wrist, jerking the pitcher away. Cordial sloshed across polished oak. Gasped. "What is this?" Margaery exclaimed, eyes wide. Not fear, calculated surprise. Rowney waddled over, tasting spoon in hand. He dipped, then gagged. Blue veins bulged on his temples. He coughed crimson, sank to one knee, breath rattling. "Fetch maester," Brienne barked. Cloaks converged. She twisted the pitcher, saw faint imprint of crowned stag. False again. The handmaiden shrieked, tried to flee. Loras blocked her path, seized veil, tore it away to reveal a narrow face dusted with freckles. The scullion girl who'd lured her into ambush weeks past. How had she escaped dungeons? She fought like a feral cat until Brienne slammed pommel to temple. The girl crumpled. Chaotic uproar now. Lords shouting, ladies spasming in terror. musicians halting mid-note. Cersei swept toward them, twin lions embroidered across gowns snarling. "What farce disrupts my feast?" she demanded. Brienne held up the black-waxed pitcher. "Strangler in sweet disguise, your grace. This girl served it." Cersei's gaze flicked to unconscious scullion, then sharpened on Brienne. "Your dungeons cannot hold children, it seems. Nor could your walls hold poison, if not for vigilance." Tywin's voice cut through din, calm as wintertide. "The girl will be questioned at dawn. Now evacuate Hall in orderly fashion. We will not add trampling to treachery." Servants herded guests in murmuring streams, some weeping, some glaring. Joffrey pouted at lost revelry until Tywin's hand on shoulder sent him shuffling off. Only when Hall cleared did Brienne allow lungs to release. Rowney recovered with milk of the poppy to quell burning throat. He'd spat, not swallowed, most of dose. The scullion lay manacled to pillar, blood on brow, awaiting interrogation. Loras approached Brienne as she oversaw binding. "You've won the night," he murmured. "Only borrowed dawn," she answered. "The real hand behind this still hides. Your queen will not forget humiliation, nor will I forget she engineered it." He touched her steel-clad arm. "When lines are drawn, my lance stands on your side." She felt warmth of offered alliance, accepted with curt nod. Emotion later, duty now. Hours before sunrise, in candlelit chamber deep inside Tower of the Hand. The scullion woke bound to oak chair. Tywin, Brienne, Varys, and iron-faced Ser Island Payne, royal headsmen, arrayed before her. The girl's name, Palla. She spoke only Braavosi dialect until Varys produced translator. Under threat of Payne's silent presence, she confessed. The queen had promised freedom and a velvet gown if Palla played handmaiden, poured cordial, ensured Lady Marjorie passed cup to Joffrey when desert came. Osmond Kettleblack had smuggled Palla from dungeon through a forgotten passage. Gifts of coin from the Lion Queen. Palla wept, insisted no harm meant for King, only to embarrass Lord Commander by showing failure. Yet Rowney would have died. Joffrey too had fate flicked differently. Tywin's lips compressed to thin line. Rage seldom looked so quiet. He dismissed Palla into Payne's custody. "Hold until I decide." When she was gone, he turned to Brienne. "The queen will deny." "Let her," Brienne said. She laid the 2 black wax bottles and seized pitcher before him. "I have proof of shared design, enough to shame but perhaps not convict." Even the boy saw her override protocol. Publicly accusing mother of regicide might splinter the lion's throne, Varys cautioned, and the Tyrells will whisper of broken betrothals if King seems unguarded. "Better truth than poison," Brienne growled. Tywin weighed options as a seasoned general weighs enemy flanks. At last he spoke. "We cannot risk open fracture. The city starves, the North rebels, Stannis sails. Instead, we clip claws quietly." "How?" Brienne asked. He studied her through candlelit frost. "By removing opportunities. The queen will leave the city. We shall send her to Casterly Rock to restore grain lines from the west, taking Tommen as token of her care. A lady's progress and exile. She may refuse." "She will not." Steel entered his tone. "I will fetch the raven parchment myself." Brienne nodded, tension easing fraction. Yet new worry churned. Cersei spurned never bows but bites. Varys interjected softly. "And the matter of Lady Sansa? If the queen goes, the girl remains hostage, but ploys may turn sharper still." Tywin's gaze slid to Brienne. "You have championed her welfare. Should you wish to escort her north when peace permits, I will not hinder, provided Stark boy lays down arms." Peace. Fantastical word amid walls soaked in blood. But hope glimmered as subtle as candle flame. Cersei did not go quietly. At midday council she raged when Tywin announced her western progress. Claims of filial devotion fell flat. Joffrey whined that he'd miss her. She kissed his brow, then spun on Brienne with venom. "You think you've shackled the lioness, but stone cracks when frost runs deep." Brienne met her fire. "Stone carved to tomb cannot break again." She stepped back, fist itching to draw steel, yet protocol-bound. Cersei's departure 3 days thence became festival of forced smiles. Brienne observed from ramparts as gilded wheelhouse creaked through snowed-in gate, Lannister crimson fluttering. Tommen popped head from window, waving wanly. Cersei sat rigid, green eyes twin shards of glass fixed on red keep spires. The gates shut behind. The city exhaled. Yet victory tasted hollow. Poison webs still thrummed. Osmond lay dead, yes, but Meryn remained. Pycelle's allegiances wavered, and Littlefinger plotted unknown lines. Smother one coal, 2 more glowed. That night Brienne stood again in White Tower Solar. Book of Brothers opened to blank page beneath lamplight soft. She dipped quill, wrote, "In the 300th year after Aegon's conquest, under King Joffrey's reign, Lord Commander Brienne of Tarth thwarted an attempt upon the king's life by unnamed conspirators, thereby upholding the oath of the Kingsguard and preserving the realm from deeper chaos." She paused, ink glistening, then added, "Deeds witnessed by Ser Loras Tyrell, Ser Balon Swan, and loyal guards of the city. Justice yet seeks the hidden hand." She sanded page, closed tome, feeling weight settle not on parchment but on shoulders. Oaths kept spawn duties unending. Each triumph births next labor. Yet within fatigue lay steely thread of resolve. Soft knock. Podrick entered carrying bundle of gray wool trimmed in stark white. "For Lady Sansa," he explained. "The tailor's finished." He hesitated. "And she sends thanks." Brienne took package, running a thumb across weave. "She needn't thank me. It is only cloth." "Warm cloth," Podrick said, earnest. "She says warmth is hope these days." He looked up. "Is hope a sin?" Brienne knelt to meet his eyes. "Never. Hope is sword and shield both. Keep it." He nodded, relief bright. When he left, she extinguished lamp, stands left silent. Beyond arrow slit, the city lay hushed beneath star-bright snowfields. Somewhere rovers plotted, swords sharpened, traitors whispered. Yet somewhere, too, a hostage girl wrapped in new wool turned face toward flame and perhaps dared to dream of home. Brienne pressed palm to cold stone, whispering vow. She would see that dream made flesh, even if wall after wall rose to bar it. The dawn she borrowed tonight must one day be paid forward, to Sansa, to the realm, perhaps to herself. Such is the tithe of honor. Weeks blurred in pale cycle of snow and slush, but without Cersei's looming shadow, the Red Keep settled into uneasy routine. Tywin's letters guided grain convoys, gold cloaks found new backbone under Balon's command, and Joffrey discovered fresh amusements in tourneys of kittens chasing fireflies. Yet malignancy rarely sleeps. One chill morning, ravens arrived from the east. Stannis had taken Fair Isle after cunning feint, burning Lannister fleet at anchor. Another raven bore Bolton's seal, declaring allegiance to Iron Throne and requesting marriage alliances, yet offering no proof of Stark defeat. Tywin's jaw clenched reading, but he spoke mild. A flayed man's pledge is parchment on flesh soon torn. Brienne's focus, meanwhile, narrowed to Sansa. She visited the girl in Maidenvault often, under guise of lessons in courtly comport. They practiced posture, steps, yet behind routine they whispered maps. Stairwell schedules, guard changes, secret doors once used by Targaryen mistresses. Each night Brienne marked those points on parchment hidden beneath mattress. Balon aided quietly, placing Tyrell guards at intersections, turning blind eyes. Loras forged balcony keys. Podrick observed kitchen deliveries, timing when corridor lamps burned low. Piece by piece, puzzle-shaped escape route. Trust bound them, yet trust is kindling near open flame. One spark of betrayal and all ignites. Spark came from Ser Meryn. Nursing grudge, fearing obscurity, he spied Brienne stepping from Sansa's chamber late evening. Days later, Joffrey summoned Brienne to Solar. The Boy King lounged, crossbow across knees. "They say you consort with the traitor wolf girl," he lilted, voice honeyed with malice. "Plotting dances? I instruct her in grace as queen once wished," Brienne answered. His finger stroked trigger. "Grace bores me. I like screams." He aimed at stuffed hair mounted on shelf, loosed bolt. Hair toppled. He giggled. "Teach her to scream, maybe? Ice gripped Brienne's gut. Your grace jests. Perhaps. He stood, crossbow wavering toward her breastplate. Mother said you would kneel to no man. Will you kneel to your king? She slowly bent one knee, visor lifted so eyes locked his. Always if it shields you. He smiled faintly. Good. Then kneel to my whim. Lady Sansa shall perform at Moro's feast. A song of northern wailing winds. You will ensure she appears. The trap yawned wide. As your grace commands. Dismissed. She retreated. Outside, she exhaled shakily, knuckles white around sword belt. Meryn leaned on column, smirk crawling his lips. She strode past, but his whisper followed. Dogs kneel too, bitch. She halted, turned. When dogs bare teeth, remember their bite. She left him paling. Plan accelerated now. Feast tomorrow would muster lords and retinues, distractions that might mask flight. But risk soared. If discovered, Joffrey's wrath would fall swift upon Balon, Loras, Podrick. Yet delay meant Sansa performing under boy's cruelty, vulnerable. Decision hammered. That night, meeting in gods wood beneath bare branches, Brienne told Sansa, tomorrow we run. Fear widened the girl's eyes, but then resolve firm jaw. I am Stark of Winterfell, she whispered. I will run swift. Route. Servants stare from Maiden Vault, down to laundry tunnels, past dry well into catacombs. Then old postern where Davit Serret once escaped the Mad King's wrath. Marjorie supplied dresses of washerwomen. Balon bribed stable boy for 2 palfreys waiting beyond first bridge. Day broke slate blue. Brienne briefed Loras, Podrick. Each accepted fate with nod. No time for farewells. Noon feast erupted in hall. Musicians tuning, Tywin presiding, Joffrey giddy on sweet wine. Brienne feigned calm at King's side until Lady Sansa, hair braided in silver ribbons, entered. She curtsied. Applause blossomed. She sang, voice clear yet trembling like snowflake on wind. Northern dirge of ice wolves howling starward. Joffrey clapped loud, then called for encore. Sansa glanced at Brienne. Plan demanded exit soon. Brienne stepped forward. Your grace. The lady's voice needs rest lest it crack. He glared. Then it cracks. Sing. Tywin intervened smooth. Pity withholds sweetest fruit until palate begs. Let the wolf pup sing at dusk, when candles glow and hearts soften. Reluctantly, Joffrey waved assent. Sansa bowed and withdrew, escorted by maids. But one maid was Podrick in gown and bonnet, cheeks flushed. They vanished through arch. Brienne's pulse drummed. She stood sentinel as courses served. Spiced lamprey pie, almond trout, minted peas. Minutes crawled. She counted 50 pepper grains in jarro soup. As agreed, meaning 15 men posted at South Wall now changed shift, leaving blind quarter for 4 breaths. Timing. At last she moved. Duty calls, she murmured to Balon behind dais. He nodded, distracting Joffrey with gossip of fresh ice spiders in Esso's menageries. She drifted toward side door, just another guard on circuit. Outside hall, she strode fast. Down gallery, past tapestries of conquest, to Maiden Vault corridor. Door ajar, sign all clear. Inside chamber empty, fire burning low. She tossed aside rugs, lifted trapdoor hidden beneath heavy settle. Stone steps plunged dark. Lantern ready, she descended, closing hatch. At bottom, torchlight flickered. Podrick, Sansa, and Loras awaited, cloaked.
Podszedł Banet, grinning shaky.
Path clear? She asked. 2 guards sleeping from my wine, Loras replied. They hurried along narrow adit. Spiders scurried, dust choked. At fork, Brienne led left, counting paces. 22. Their iron door rusted partly open, releasing stale air of crypt. They squeezed through, boots crunching bone fragments from centuries past. Catacomb arches rose black, carved with names of kings. Stone direwolves snarled overhead. Halfway, torch sputtered. Brienne pressed on, guiding by memory. They emerged into small chamber lit by shaft of pale daylight through roof crack. Below, A ladder of iron rings descends to rubble-strewn corridor leading to postern gate once barred but rotted. They climbed ladder. Pod kicked fallen stone free, noise echoing. Brienne tensed, listening, no answer. At corridor end the postern appeared, hinges sagging. She pushed, wood groaned open to fresh air sharp with pine. Beyond lay bridge spanning dry moat to slope of snow-coated brush. 2 horses tethered, blankets over hides, stamped impatient. Balon emerged from shadows, cloak pulled high. How he came with injured leg she knew not, but resolve lit eyes. "Hurry," he whispered. Sansa mounted first, Pod second. Loras clasped Brienne's forearm. "I ride west to Mask Trail, drawing their hound. Is 7 guard you. 7 guard us both," she answered, squeezing his wrist. He spurred south. Balon signaled, and they set heels, cantering across snow-crusted hill into grove of bare ash. Wind keened through branches like ghosts applauding. They rode switchbacks, avoiding main roads, until dusk painted sky bruise purple. Behind, faint horn blasts echoed discovery.
Brienne urged pace.
Sansa clutched reins, face stiff but determined. Pod followed, lips whispering prayer to warrior. They reached ruined mill by river where skiff waited, piloted by Tyrell sergeant sworn to secrecy. Horses left. Group boarded, current swift with meltwater carrying them under cloak of dark. Fires danced on distant ramparts as alarm spread. Brienne allowed herself slow breath of answering night. But journey only begun. They must reach Maidenpool, take ship to White Harbor, cross war-torn north. Yet one step free. Sansa touched her armored shoulder.
"Sir, Brienne."
She corrected herself, smile fragile. "Thank you." Brienne placed gauntlet hand over wool-wrapped fingers. "I promised." Stars wheeled overhead, silent witness. Far behind, lions' roar shrieked across battlements, fury of crown betrayed, but river bore them onward, indifferent. Water slapped hull in lullaby. Hope flickered though winter's night stretched long. News roared through red keep like wildfire. Lord Commander vanished with Stark girl, traitorous Swan aiding, Tyrell complicity suspected. Joffrey raged, ordering Meryn to scour city. Tywin, face granite, assumed reins, yet privately a ghost of grim respect haunted eyes. He understood. Betrayal? No. Fulfillment of deeper vow older than boy king's crown. Council met without Brienne. Varys whispered that Stannis threatened Gulltown. Littlefinger volunteered to treat with Vale. Maester Pycelle urged swift capture. Example must be set. Tywin listened, but his decree mild. Bring them back alive. Why? Some wondered. Perhaps the old lion glimpsed realm beyond petty vengeance. Weeks later, at Lonely in near Flint Cliffs, Brienne sat by peat fire, polishing Oathkeeper while Sansa slept in loft. Pod snored softly, arm over satchel of hardtack. River journey had ended at Maidenpool, their trek north filled with skirmishes, snow, hunger, yet purpose steeled them. Balon, wound worsening, turned east toward Riverrun to heal. They parted with oath of reunion. Footsteps approached. Brienne's hand closed on hilt, but familiar voice drifted. "A hearth this warm tempts even ghosts." Loras removed hood, cheeks wind-burnt. He carried letter sealed with golden rose. He knelt beside fire. "I ride south come dawn, but brought news. Queen Cersei imprisoned at Casterly Rock for plot against crown. Tywin's doing. The boy howls, but chains velvet-lined. Relief mingled with pity. Loras extended parchment. And Tywin's offer, safe conduct if you return king's good favor. His guard did fail, yet he offers you pardon. Seat at court once peace made." He exhaled. "What will you do?" Brienne gazed at flicker of flames across blade, heard distant surf batter cliffs. "I will keep my oath. When Lady of Winterfell stands among her kin, then I may answer other horns." Loras smiled, sadness in eyes. "The realm needs true knights. It needs true kings first." He laughed quietly. "Touché." He rose, clasped her forearm. "May 7 guide you, though I suspect your compass truer than theirs." She watched him depart into snow-flecked dark till hoofbeats faded. Months turned. They crossed neck through hidden causeways, bribed crannogmen, dodged Bolton patrols. Pod grew wiry, Sansa hardened. One dawn they reached towering pines overlooking White Plain, Winterfell's ruins smoldering but still, walls half repaired by men wearing flayed man sigils. Stark banners gone, yet the spring melt air carried scent of home to Sansa. Tears shone, frozen before they fell. Brienne crouched beside her. "It can rise again," she murmured. "Stone remembers hands that shaped it. They could not storm, not yet. Instead they rode west to White Knife, took refuge with Manderly men still loyal." Lady Sansa revealed self before Lord Wyman within crowded hall. Cheers erupted, mead spilled. War might reignite, but Stark heirs' return would rally north. In quiet chamber that night Sansa set new cloak of direwolf gray over Brienne's shoulders. "For you kept faith beyond hope." Brienne touched cloth, humbled. "A cloak I fear to soil. Wear it. It will remind world oaths matter." She bowed, tears pricking eyes. Seasons will forward. War tides ebb. But tales told in hearth corners already speak of Sapphire Guard who defied lions, of maid in armor whose sword carved path for wolf made home. Some names fade with snowmelt, others carve stone. In White Sword Tower of faraway King's Landing, Book of Brothers lies open still beside empty chair of Lord Commander. Blank pages wait ink. One day Quill will write fate of Brienne of Tarth. Traitor, hero, vanished? Pen yet undecided. But across frozen winds, in halls where northern fires roar, a knight kneels each sundown, blade planted in stone floor, and prays to seven and old gods alike that peace may take root. Watered by honor, fed by hope, guarded by steel. And somewhere, echoes of Renly's laughter drift on warm breeze remembered, mingling with whispered thanks of a mother far gone. You kept them safe. These ghosts walk with Brienne as surely as sword at hip. They remind that paths of true knights wind long and seldom in sight of crowns. Yet every step inscribes a different kind of throne, one built of kept promises and souls shielded. Thus her story continues, snow and ash swirling together until difference lost, and the dawn she vowed to borrow breaks at last across Winterfell's towers. Light gilds new-forged direwolf banners, catches on polished sapphire pommel of sword lifted in salute. Brienne of Tarth, sworn knight, stands at parapet, white cloak traded for gray, yet heart unchanged. Far to south, king frets. Further west, queen schemes. East, dragons rise. But here, amidst first crocus buds piercing thawing earth, hope hums like steel drawn free, ready for whatever song the realm next demands. And when horns sound again, she will answer, stride measured, cloak billowing, the echo of oaths a steady drum against rib, for vows, once sworn true, resound beyond death, beyond crown, into every dawn reborn.